Hello and welcome to A Cup of Tea with Dr. Zee, where we share everyday stories with you, everyday women. Are you ready to hear heart-to-heart key issues that we all face no matter where we are in the world? So grab your cup of tea and let's welcome your host, author, international speaker, reinvention strategist and woman that's full of faith in God and mankind, Dr. Zena Arinzi.
Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome to the show, A Cup of Tea with me, Dr. Z. You are so welcome. We've started a few minutes late today. Let's put it this way. If anything that could go wrong, went wrong. And we're talking about technology. So, you're not really expecting technology to go wrong, but it does. It's just like human beings. You can just be walking and you keel over. Our computers keeled over. All sorts of things happened. Cars, traffic. But we're here now. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you've got your cup of tea wherever you are from around the world. Please put in the chat where you are, where you're dialing in from, where you're streaming from, where you're watching from. I know some of you might be watching from LinkedIn Live, some of you from YouTube, some of you from Instagram, wherever it is you are, or you're in the studio right now with us in the green room. I've got a fantastic, phenomenal guest today. I can't wait for her to talk to you all about angels. Yes, we have an angel, not with wings, an angel. We have an angel who we're going to be interviewing today. And we're going to be talking all things about Africa. We're taking it back home. Well, for me, Africa is home. So we're taking it all the way back home. But we're going to be talking about technology. Funnily enough, technology. Yes, we're going to be talking about technology. We're going to be talking about the African continent. We're going to be talking about startups and the entrepreneurial journey. But above all, we're going to be talking about an everyday woman who is doing extraordinary things around the world. Now, for those of you that have just joined and you've never been on this show before, this is called A Cup of Tea with me, Dr. Z, and I spotlight amazing, incredible, everyday women around the world doing incredible things, extraordinary things. And why do I do this? There are so many reasons, but one of the reasons is because you might be watching this and you're thinking, well, no one knows me. I mean, you're in, a place where you think that you're hidden. You don't believe in yourself. No one knows who you are. You don't think that your life has meaning. And I want you to know today, and I say this every week, that you are enough. Your life does have meaning. And you might think that what you're doing is so little, but I want you here and hear it from me well. You have impact. Someone is watching you. Someone is getting out of bed because you got out of bed. Your story is someone else's glory. Whatever you think you're doing, no matter how big or how small you might think it is for someone else. So don't ever let anyone tell you differently. Just go ahead and put your best foot forward, even if life kicks you that's a kick. That's not a kick, is it? That's a punch. Punches you in the face, or even if your technology kills over, whatever life throws at you, remember that your life has meaning, and a woman just like you needs to hear from you. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my phenomenal guest. Her name is Christine Wilson. Christine H. Wilson. I like to always put the whole thing. She'll be laughing in the green room. I can see her laughing in the green room right now. And she's a people technology expert. You've been wondering, what's that? Well, we'll soon bring her in and you'll see. She's a people technology expert, and she works to empower entrepreneurs and business teams around the world. She uses she harnesses data, the power of data. She also uses technology. Currently, she's the Chief Strategy Officer at Spurt, and she crafts innovative ideas and solutions that combine both design thinking, data analytics, and people operations technology to drive growth for SMEs and startups in sub-Saharan Africa. Christine Wilson maintains a robust and active angel. Yes, that's the angel. That's where some of you are thinking, oh, God, she's taking it to church. She maintains an active angel investment portfolio, and she's also the managing partner at the Innovate Africa Fund and Bold Angel Network LP at We Capital and Investment Lead, Rising Tide Africa Angel Network. So you'll be thinking, wow. Yes, you're thinking, where, Zena, Dr. Zena, where do you find these amazing women? I'm coming to you. Wait, have your seatbelts on. I'm coming to you soon. Right, let me bring in my amazing drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you so much, Christy, for coming on this show.
Thanks for
I know
having
it's
me.
a funny one today, but we're here and it's amazing. I can't wait. Let's brew. Do you want a cup of tea?
With Dr. Z.
Yes, I do have my teapot. If you've got your cup, I'll pour some for you. Just to make sure
There
that you
you
can
go.
relax. All right, great stuff. Yeah, great. Fantastic. Right. I didn't ask if you wanted sugar. Sugar?
No, I'm okay. I'm all
You're
set.
okay.
It's a
All right.
nice hibiscus tea, so we'll take it
Okay.
plain.
Fantastic. Right. Okay. So let's go right in. I can see. Let's see in the chat. Okay, nothing in the chat yet. So let's start. First and foremost, I know people are asking on LinkedIn, asking on Instagram, or they're going to ask on the replay, what is a people technologist? What is a people technologist? Is it a HR specialist? Tell us all, what is a people technologist?
Yeah, no, thank you. I love that question. So if you think about it, I think we all know what HR people do. And thankfully, I think more and more are seeing data systems analysts, HR system analysts, right?
Yes.
The idea of people technology and focusing specifically on people technology is the idea of designing systems, designing technology to solve HR needs, right? And to solve people operations needs. So essentially, your HR systems analyst is often essentially looking at what's there, right? They're looking at the data, they're telling you what the data is saying, they're managing that data and essentially maintaining the system. And then your HR people are interfacing directly with said people, right? Your hires, your employees. So as a people technologist, I'm actually designing those systems, right? The
Right.
system that you're doing your appraisals on, the system that you're giving feedback with, the system that you're using to access your benefits, your leave benefits, the system that you're using for team collaboration. So essentially, the idea of people technology is essentially the design and development of technology to address people operations needs.
Right. Okay. So like HRIS kind of systems, yes, but a bit more further.
So yeah, so if you think about this, the people that implement those systems or run those systems, and what I do is build those systems.
Wow. So I know, I mean, with my IT project manager hat, I haven't built any of the systems. I've implemented, so like Workday, and oh god,
Exactly.
I train.
Exactly. So I'm sure as you've been implementing, you probably thought, oh, this could have been done differently. I wish this button
Yes,
wasn't here.
yes,
Right. So
yes.
exactly. So
No,
my
we need
my
to
work.
blame you.
Well, yes, but the idea is that I'm building better systems than that, right? But yeah, so certainly, so it's taking feedback from people like you, feedback from users, and designing people operations management systems, HRIS systems that really sort of meet the need, feel comfortable, feel adaptable, make sense. Don't make the HR managers and the project managers, the IT project managers, or the systems analysts feel frustrated or angry, that kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes, uh, I like that. I when I saw that, I thought that's what it was, but I wasn't sure. Wow. So, I guess we just look at the system, and we're not even the end users. We forget that there are people even behind the system. That,
Exactly.
and so when you have someone like myself collect requirements, and we come back to you, and we say, oh, it doesn't do this, and then you go back and say, yeah, or we
Exactly.
say,
So
no, we're going to do
I'm
it.
looking at design. I'm looking at moving
Yes,
the button around. I'm thinking,
yes,
does
yes.
does moving this button make sense? Should it be this color? How is the code being written? Is
Wow.
it sustainable? Is
Wow.
it scalable? All of that.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I like that. That's very interesting. Well, even when I was thinking about it, I didn't even, I didn't think about that. That's really, really amazing. So you've built robust people technology systems, but you've kind of also now delved into the, the world of being an angel investor,
Yeah.
and I want to ask you, before we really go right into, the nitty gritty of that, what what was your key driver? What, pushed you down in that direction?
Yeah. So I think for me, so I've been investing, angel investing for over a decade now. And I think for
Mm,
me, it really came from this idea of like, you don't have to be big to start, you can start small. This very principle of like brighten the corner where you are. I think many of us, we sort of think, oh, I have to have X before I do Y. When I'm rich, I will be kind. When I'm rich, I will be charitable. When I'm rich,
mm,
I will do impactful work.
mm,
And I think I've just always felt like, no, we can start now. We can do the right thing now. We can support people. We can push businesses forward. We can build our community. We can contribute now you know
mm,
um and so I think for me, just from the point of view of what was the impetus for being an angel investor and supporting visionaries and entrepreneurs, people with big ideas and that sort of thing, I think that's where that came from, quite frankly.
I like that, because when you're just listening to you speak, it's where you're talking about paying it forward before it's even before you need to pay it forward, because people always say pay it forward, so you're waiting until you have the millions, or you have this,
Yeah,
you have, you know and I guess it's also another way of putting your money where putting your money where your mouth is. It should be like this. Why is there not this? Why is there not this? And and people don't always have to know who you are. They don't have to always know who you are. They just need to know that someone somewhere, or some organization somewhere, or a group of people somewhere are cheering you on with their money. And
indeed.
obviously, they get a piece of it. So it's a bit like, I'm imagining, it's a bit like maybe Dragon's Den or something like that, but a bit more with social impact.
Yeah, so as an angel investor, and I mean, angel investors take different forms and they have different interests. So some
Mm,
angel investors are impact investors, right? So they're not investing with profit as the primary objective.
mm,
They're investing so that they can catalyze something, support an initiative. Some
mm,
angels are purely financial investors, right? So they see an upside on the opportunity, they see that there's risk involved, and they see that they will be rewarded handsomely if that risk pays off. So they take on that risk, and they say, hey, I'll back you, I'll give you that seed investment, and so on. So the angel investors come in different shapes. There are angel investors I know who love to invest in women because they feel women are under supported. Angel investors that like to invest in Black business because
mm,
they believe that it's important to propel Black business forward, not just from a impact perspective, but because the opportunity in commerce with Black people is quite substantial globally around the world, right?
yes.
So that's really the idea, is that essentially for angel investors, you're seeing a promising opportunity, you're seeing a way to have substantial upside, substantial impact. And right, because if you think about it, it's kind of like I'll give you something. When you're a kid, right, or when you're talking to a kid, and for that
Mm,
kid, a week feels like forever to them, because as a
yes.
ratio of when it is in their lifespan, right? They've been living for 3 years. And so a week is a substantial ratio of their lives, right? As opposed to, say, a week for a 25-year-old or a 50-year-old, which just feels like, a really, really small fraction of their time, right? And so that's the thing with being an angel investor, is that that amount of money or that investment that you make is small relative to
Mm,
the amount of capital required to really scale a company. But because of the time at which you're making that investment, it has a huge impact. And so, even for financial investors, you really are able to make a transformational contribution to the life cycle of a company.
I love it. I love it. So it's a bit like, And obviously we're women, and so rather than investing your money in shoes and bags, although shoes and bags and makeup is nice, I'm not knocking it. I do like looking nice. I do, I have two daughters, 26 and 23, so we are a house of people that like fashion and stuff like that. But you want to put your money where you'll see a return on investment. You want to be able to see it grow. So if you're doing stocks and shares, you might not know those people, but if you're doing, you're kind of investing in someone, or even if you don't know them at the time, because of, it's a bit like, I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Christine. So it's a bit like, you're sponsoring an orphan. You may never know this person. You're writing letters. I've got quite a few that I do like that from church. You're writing letters. You might have met this girl or this boy when they were 3 years old, and you're sponsoring. You put your little money. It's not a lot, but it's a lot to them, but it may not be a lot to you. And you're doing your little bit, and then eventually, 15 years later, you get this massive letter, pictures. They're about to go into uni, or they finish university or something, or they're getting married, or they bought a cow or something. And then you can just see, that fulfillment of being part of something great. Is that how you feel?
So I think angel investing is even better than that, right? So let's use your analogy of the orphan, right? So imagine that you live, 5 blocks away, or 5 kilometers away from an orphanage, right? And realistically, you can't, adopt that child or foster that child, but you're able to commit a little bit of capital to that child, right? But that child can also call you for advice. They can call you when, it's their first day of school and they're feeling nervous. They can call you and ask you, what do you think? Should I do this subject or that subject? Or I had a tough day with my teacher today. They gave me really harsh feedback. It's making me feel really down. And you can talk to them. You're not their parent. You're not fostering them, but you're a resource. And you get to support them through all these really big life changes. Puberty, first day of school, first job, first rejection, first breakup, and so on and so forth. And so you're really there as they grow up. You're there through their ups and their downs, and you're able to partake, right, without having to like jump in and be the parent, right, without having to, but you're supporting. And the truth of the matter is that work you're doing is so important, because in that orphanage, there are many of those young people. And the burden on their caretakers, on the people running the orphanage, is quite substantial. So that little, 3 hours you spend in a week or in a month or, in a quarter, to you might be nothing. But in terms of helping to relieve the burden, to provide psychological support, to provide, structured counsel and advice for this young person, makes a real difference, And so that's really how the mechanism of angel investing in the best cases is done. So some angel investors are a bit like what you described, right? They write a check and they disappear, right? And then maybe you remember them and you send them a letter 20 years and say, come to my wedding, I'm getting married. And some angel investors are like that. But the very best form of angel investing is really this kind of supportive,
alongside mentoring.
Exactly.
I like that. I mean, I like that analogy, because it's like, okay, you're not the parent, you're not the carer. Sometimes the carer just has too many, too many people to actually listen to what you're going through. Maybe you've, using your analogy, maybe you've gone for a loan, or you've tried to do something in the business and it hasn't quite worked. And the people, maybe your board of directors or your trustees or whatever, they're not really going to understand. So you're like a safe pair of hands. Or I'll run it by you, Christine. I'm trying to do this. What do you think? Will it work? And you will give objective, guidance, mentoring. So yeah, I like that. And you can give the baby back.
Exactly. Which is really what we all want as women, honestly.
Yes. All right, okay. You can go back. You can
have the baby back now. Great time bonding. Bye.
there, entrepreneur. I know you've had a bad moment. Oh, yes, things have gone there. You can do it now. Go back into that field and go and make your vision happen. Go and do it. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Fantastic. You know, I'm going to bring you back to Africa because I know you're all over. I know at the moment you're in Tanzania, if I'm not mistaken. You know, last time I spoke to you, you were in Kenya. So I know that you are very incredibly Afrocentric. When I was trying to figure out, you know, what location to use, I have said this to you in the green room. I was going to use remote, but I thought that would be, you know, they were like,
you know, and it would be quite apt, you know, because like the companies that are like the work that I do, my teams, they're all remote. They're in all corners of the world. Sometimes, you know, when I'm catching up with them, I'm like, you know, where are you? And they're like, oh, they're this. And it's like everyone's doing their job from wherever they want to be, you know, whatever works for them. Sometimes I even think they're in one place. They're like, oh, no, I left, I moved, I went somewhere else. I'm like, oh, great. Good for you.
So I want to ask you, because obviously today the focus is obviously people, technology, which we've touched on, investments, which we've touched on. I know we'll get back to that. But, you know, I'm talking about on the continent, amazing things are happening in the entrepreneurial space. I recently, obviously I'm a woman of faith, and I was watching a testimony recently where this guy, a Nigerian guy, he somehow got himself to America, got into America, he and his friend or partner, and I can't remember what the business was, but eventually Yale, you know, they gave them, you know, a whole heap of money to actually to develop it further. And it was something that no one else was, you know, was doing. And you know, as he was giving the testimony, he was crying because, you know, 2 years before then, he wasn't working. He didn't know what he was going to do with his life. He felt suicidal. And so, you know, on the continent, people go over and above to really think outside the box because they have no choice, you know, and many people on the continent don't have the same opportunities, as it were, you know, online, you know, not just funding, but even, you know, having the resources, you know, doing online courses, money and all that. So it's really heartwarming to see how in Africa, many young people are doing something with very little and doing it incredibly well. So I want to, you know, with that as the backdrop, I want, you know, to tell me a little bit, or tell our listeners a little bit about how you have found that, because it really is the new wave of startups. We're doing things that no one else has done before and doing it with very little. So tell me a little bit about, you know, your experience in that area.
Yeah. You know, look, you know, sometimes when you have conversations like this, you know, people think about it from a kind of charity angle, you know, or sometimes people think about, in fact, recently somebody said to me that, you know, the notion of, you know, venture investing and early stage investing on the continent is more romantic than practical. And I haven't found that to be true. I don't think it's true at all if you're paying attention, if you're looking, and if you're backing the right things. They say, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. And boy, does this continent have necessity in abundance. And I think you see people responding to that, right? One of the reasons that we launched the Innovate Africa Fund and decided to back pioneering early stage entrepreneurs was really this, that people who are looking at wicked problems, deep, complex, systemic problems, navigating them every day, and who can, in spite of that, dream, envision, and create, are exactly the sort of people who are going to change the world. And so for us, if we can back those people, those, you know, recently I saw somebody who had, you know, in their village created, you know, just like a simple tool to help blind kids to be able to read, because they had just gotten books, but there was, I guess, a reasonably high incidence of blind people in her community that she felt like they needed to be carried along. That's the kind of
Mm.
person that, we want to support, right? Um, a few years ago, so about the time that I was in high school, folks were, all sort of like a buzz about this young kid who built a windmill out of scrap tools in his village, right? I
Mm.
think there's a whole documentary about it called The Boy Who
Yes,
Harnessed
yes,
the Wind.
yes.
And the truth of the matter is, this is happening in many cities, many towns, many villages across the continent. If you think about it, I'm a wealthy child of, parents who've been mining in a country, and whatever idea I have a platform for it. And so I can buy the media, I can access whatever it is I want to do whatever I want, and I'm
Mm.
creating, internet technology to connect people around the world, or I'm trying to go to space because we're done polluting the planet. That's what one person who's enabled with a ton of resources can do, right?
Yes,
But then there's all these bright, incredible people here who also need to be enabled, right? And
yes,
because they understand the context of necessity, because they're used to hacking, right? And,
yes, yes,
doing the kind of MacGyver thing, right? I'm
yes, yes,
constantly amazed, even just paying attention to people in low resource contexts, and the way in which some of them break out of the mold of kind of like thinking in lack and start to think
mm,
about creative ways to make their lives better,
yes,
the lives of the
yes,
people around them. And so it's not
yes,
romantic, right? Because solving Africa's problems is solving the world's problems, right? The food basket of a country, we have,
yes,
from
yes.
Asia,
Good.
from the Middle East coming and buying land across East
Yes,
Africa so that they can grow food. Europe has been,
yes,
importing food from the continent for decades,
yes.
spices. Really, whether it's food, whether it's minerals, solving our problems is solving the world's problems. And
Absolutely.
whenever we think we're going to ignore Africa, we're going to ignore monkeypox, it finds its way to be global. So for us, we said, the Innovate Africa Fund, and sometimes people think, oh, why Africa? It's because Africa is for the world, right? We've been in this kind of, limbo. We have an extractive and exploitative relationship with the rest of the
Yes,
world. And
yes,
it's time to innovate that relationship, right? And to back pioneering, creators, entrepreneurs, visionaries, dreamers who are going to create a more equitable and sustainable future, and who better than them, you know?
absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny you should say that, because even when you were speaking about, the example of, on the other side of the coin, people that are fortunate enough to go to school, or not just go to good schools and come out of school and the job is waiting for them and all that, they don't have to push themselves too much. You do, you do, but you don't, whereas someone else who doesn't have that same opportunity makes it work, really makes it work. And it amazed me the first time I went to Nigeria when I was 10. Yeah, when I was 10, 11. I'd never seen a shoemaker in my life. So I thought a shoemaker, you just sort of go and, just go to, and they just reheel your shoe and stuff like this. And I went to Nigeria and they were putting all sorts of things together and everything. And it got to the stage that when I eventually came back to live in England, at least for the first few years, whenever my shoes were kind of damaged, I would just, "Are you traveling?" And I'll give them my shoes to take to Nigeria. And give it to the shoemaker who happens to be a gate man, so to fix the shoes and bring them back and you wear them. And so on the continent, they have a repair culture. They have a culture where they use very little and do so much. And I mean, I remember in 2018, I went with a group of entrepreneurs. We were 15 women to Malawi. I'd never gone to Malawi before. And we were doing all sorts of, savior mentality kind of things. Oh, we're going to do this, go to AIDS, and we're going to, orphanage, domestic violence, all the kind of things that are kind of up my street in terms of women empowerment. But when I got there, boy, oh boy, oh boy,
You got
did
an
I
education.
I got an education. And yeah, I remember they kind of we were everyone, I was the only black person in the group. But what was so amazing is that they paired us up to go and stay in people in the village. So we saw village banking and all sorts of things, which I know you know this already. So but what was amazing is in where we stayed, we kind of got the shortest straw because you didn't know where you were going to stay. Some people got to stay in nice houses. Some people got in. I was in the village. Never seen a village like that in my life. And I'm and I'm Nigerian. But it was that and we're in a village. But the family, they were amazing. And the guy who built the house himself had no electricity and stuff. That's fine. I've seen that before. But he built a contraption that was a shower thing. And so you kind of do, and it, water would come on you and all that, the toilet and all that. And I was like looking at, I'm like, wow, with very little, they were happy. The food was lovely. I remember, they were doing, the normal firewood stuff, and I was trying to do with them, and I was so rubbish. And my partner, so my grandmother must have been turning in her grave, and my partner, because we kind of paired us up. She was even better than me. She said, Zena, oh my days, and all that. But what I learned from that is that really, really, really gratitude. No matter how bad you think you have it, there are people that have it 10 times, 1 million times worse than you, and they still come out better than you. And so when I met you, oh God, Paul, earlier on in the year at Founder Fest, and that's I was just amazed at the stuff that you do, and I said I must. I mean, I've been hounding you, I must interview you because it's nice to see that people, you're doing it now.
Yes,
you're doing it now. That's the thing that really is so heartwarming. You're not waiting for the billions. You're doing it now. You're doing it now.
I think we need to. I mean, if all the grim predictions about climate and all these things, come to pass, there's no time. The time is now, and
it really is.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we really vastly underestimate how much of a difference we can make and how far we can go. Imagine if, at the time when you had met this fellow, right, you had been able to connect him with somebody who could have helped him refine that, right? Maybe he could have put that contraption in all the village, all the homes in the villages nearby. And maybe that could have been a source of income for him and his family. And then maybe the next person would have refined that. And then suddenly you have these showers that can work without electricity. They can work without pumps, and so on and so forth. I mean, there's all kinds of things, right? But the issue is, and the challenge is that very often I think we paralyze ourselves waiting, right? We paralyze ourselves looking for ideal conditions, looking for
yes.
Somebody to believe in us, looking for somebody else to tell us that we can and we should. And I think for me, it's always been important to me to not wait, to go ahead, to try to make the mistake, to put myself out there, and just see what happens, right? And I think, I'm grateful for that. But I also know that it's a privilege. It's a privilege of my upbringing. It's a privilege of, the fact that I was raised by an incredible woman who, didn't make fear a part of my mindset, a part of my framing, and so it allowed me to just be bold and audacious. And I think sometimes I even surprise her. She's like, you have energy, you just go. and I wonder if she knows it's her, right? It's the space that she gave. And so I think also something that is worth saying, coming back to the point that you were saying about gratitude, is that the psychological spaces that we create for ourselves, for the people around us, they do have an impact on how far those people feel that they can go, how far we feel that we can go, right? And so, maybe even starting first with yourself and affirming yourself, being grateful for who you are, what your skills are, what you've accomplished, really does allow you a new way to go forward in the world, and to do real work in the world.
Yes. I like what you're saying, real work. So it's not about throwing money at things and forgetting about it. I'm doing my little bit. It's about really, being impactful, being intentional, really wanting that thing, that venture to work. You want to support them throughout that journey. And you've given different examples of different angel investors. So not everyone is going to want to be part of that. But what, in fact, the question I'm going to ask you, because there'll be people listening and people listening on the replay, and also listening when it's no longer visual and it's on Spotify. And one of the questions they may be asking is, I want to be an angel investor. How do I start?
Well,
Because you've
okay, yeah, that's a
now.
super. Yeah, so the great thing about the work that we're doing at Innovate is that we are actually, one of our main goals is catalyzing angel investors, right? So we're going to be training you, we're going to be equipping you with resources, helping you to understand what it means to be an angel, what kind of angel you want to be, helping you to figure out what sectors that you might be able to contribute the most value to. So something I definitely say is reach out to us, right? We are at innovateafricafund.com. Tell us about why you're keen to be an angel investor. Tell us about, or maybe you don't even want to be an angel investor, but you want to do something, right? You want to get started on something. Please do reach out to us. If there's been an idea gnawing at you kind of in the back of your mind, so maybe you're not an angel investor, maybe you're an innovator, maybe you're a coach, right? Maybe you're a mentor. There's so many ways, I think, to, do real work in the world. And so just reach out, and I will absolutely directly, personally respond.
Did I get it right? I was just trying to put it there so that people can see it.
Let's see, innovateafricafund.com.
Oh, I
Yes.
missed.
Fund.
I
Yes.
missed out fund. All right, let's go
Yes.
back again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but and look, I think this idea of, just coming back to the comment that I saw pop up of, just waiting for the right moment. It really does happen to all of us. I don't think any of us is immune to it, but I think it's, biasing for now. One of the reasons I think, is it Nike that has been so successful? Just do it.
Let's do it.
um yeah, because it's such a simple 3 words, but it's true, right? Because it's so hard for us to just do it, right? We tell ourselves all the reasons we'll do it later, when it's really best to do it now.
I like that. As you were talking, I remember that there's a slogan here in the UK. Every little, I think it's Tesco. Every little helps. So you might be listening right now. Reach out. Sorry, I'm just writing this so that people can see it. You might be
Yeah.
listening right now and you're thinking, well, I haven't got the money. I don't know. Every little helps. Every little helps. You can reach out to Christine. She's studying a doctorate. She doesn't want people to know these. I've kind of been stalking her and doing all sorts of things that she's doing. You can see she's incredibly great, bright. Not just that, she's a woman of integrity. She has put her money where her mouth is. So you will learn, like she said, you will be trained and you will learn more. We can never really cover this in this show, but you will know more about what it means to be an angel investor. You'll be able to find out the kind of angel investor you would want to be. And perhaps you don't want to do that financially because you feel you're not ready, but you can always donate your time in kind. In kind, you can mentor, you can coach, you can, dig, you go, dig boreholes, whatever it is. You can maybe go out. I mean, I don't know why I used that one, but you can, you can go out and do something. You can donate your time or your money or your support. It's all about being that angel to someone else. And I know you'll say, oh yeah, Zena will always put a Christian stance on it. Oh, yes, I would. But really, it's about being your brother's keeper. And in Africa, we are the foundation of the world. We really are. If it doesn't work in Africa, it can't work anywhere else, as we've already found. People are, like you said, climate change, food security. We need to make sure that women in Africa are able to actually farm and feed themselves. And I happen to be, I'm going to quick shout out, I happen to be also the chief wellness officer for the Pan African Chamber of Commerce. And there's an amazing, phenomenal initiative we're working on called Women Feed Africa. And it's all about empowering women in Africa, farmers, with better skills to actually, farm their land, eat from their land, but also feed the world. And so, there's just so much you can do. There really is. Don't think that your little is not enough, because your little is not, because it really is. A little, I like what you said, a little can go really, 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 really far. Oh, wow. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. I'm trying to squeeze everything out from you. So, can you give us an example of what has been the most rewarding part of your life so far?
Oh, that's really hard. You know, I don't. That's hard. That's really hard. No, because honestly, I live in a state of gratitude all the time. I'm amazed. I do have, even moments where I feel down, and my life partner is so amazing because he's my biggest cheerleader, and he really does, encourage me when I feel down. But I think on average, I'm just so grateful, you know, because I'm able to, and I think a lot of people, have held themselves back from this, but I'm really able to live a life where I have impact almost every day. Every day I'm doing something for somebody else. I'm helping someone to build a better business. I'm helping, someone access capital. I'm giving someone capital. I'm helping someone to upskill themselves. I'm, enabling somebody as a coach. And I'm extremely and tremendously blessed to be able to have that kind of life, and I think in some ways that's all we want, right? We want our lives to matter. We want our lives to have impact. And I think for me, so despite being so young, I have been able to figure out how to live that kind of life, where, like sometimes I look over my messages and I'm like, wow, like, I feel grateful. I feel grateful that I'm able to contribute in this way. And I think many of us want that. We want that purpose. We want that drive, and I think even for me, solving for that came accidentally. It came from, for a long time, I wanted to be a doctor. And I, at some point, made a decision that I wasn't going to do that. But that period when I made that decision was very dark for me. I had wanted to be a doctor my whole life. I had designed my whole identity around it, around saving lives and contributing in that way. So I went through a very, very dark, just like couple of years of just feeling like I had nothing to contribute to the world. I had no purpose. And getting out of that for me was saying, you know what? I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but every day I'm going to do something. Every day I'm going to give back. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait till I know what I want to be. I'm not going to wait till I feel self actualized. I'm not going to wait till people think I'm
Maslow,
important. You
Maslow,
know,
yeah,
I'm just going to
yeah,
help. I'm just going to
yeah.
do the work. I'm going to upskill myself so that I can give value. I'm going to give whatever it is I can. And it was important to me that whatever I was doing had real impact. So I resisted charity as my primary form of work. And I instead decided to do more work that was sowing into people's lives, right? When they say teach a man to fish and he will eat
Yes,
forever, give him a fish and he will eat for a day. So I said, you know
yeah,
what? I'm going to support entrepreneurs. I'm going to support people who are upskilling themselves. So if you think about, the range of initiatives that I've been able to do, whether it is the program where we are training young people to be able to participate in the workforce globally, equipping them with digital skills, early career skills, whether it's the technology that we're building so that all of these young people are able to participate in the future of work, as equal and viable and
yes,
hireable,
yes,
people, whether
yes,
it's, building the fund, doing all of that work really came out of a place of saying, you know what, I don't know what my big place in the world is. I don't know what my real value is going to be. And you know what? Having this existential crisis over it is not going to do anything. So how about I
Yes.
do something that has
Yes.
value, even if
Yes.
it's
Yes.
small? And that has kind of just like snowballed into new things and better
I'm trying
things
not
in
to
the
get
future.
emotional, I'm trying not to get emotional, but I love this. You're speaking my language. You're speaking my language. I think that's what you're saying is how I am. This is me. But it's nice to see. And there's something you said. It doesn't, and it doesn't really matter how old you are. It really doesn't, because sometimes there are people that are my age that think they have nothing to offer. They think they're past it. Who's going to listen to me? And so they stop contributing. And there are people that are younger, like yourself, and even younger, who think, oh, I'm not ready yet. And then the people in between that, you've got the ages, on both sides. Oh, she's too old, they're too old, or they're too young. What are
Yeah,
you talking? Obviously, for those of us that have African backgrounds, oh, you're a young person, you should be seen, not heard, or you're an old person, go away, old person. So and really, everyone in the ecosystem has something of value to offer. And
absolutely.
there was something you said. You said something about the work that you guys do, equipping young people. So I'm thinking you're young, so younger than you. So equipping young people to, you know, actually contribute where they are.
Yeah,
So you
and
start,
find their place. Yeah,
and find
find
their
their
place
place.
immediately.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
let me tell you something that struck me, right? And helped me get out of this, this dark period. I was studying, so I've always been a reader. And so I was reading these pieces and these articles. I was doing research, I think, freelancing. And I was seeing that, lots of young people were really in despair about the future of the world, in despair about whether they would have a place, whether there will be enough money, enough homes. The cemeteries are full. The money is all gone. The resources are all going. The water bodies are all polluted, and it all just seems so grim, you
So
know.
grim.
And I thought, I'm so young, and these people are younger still, right? So the question was, what can I do with my life today? How can I help today so that people are less grim? People feel like there's a change that they can make, there's something that they can do. Because, to the point that you made, whatever age you're at, I think that there's value that you can bring, we say it takes a village, right? And across the world, not even just on the continent, we have so many local ways, local expressions that talk
Yes.
about, collaboration. In Ghana, the Ashanti, they say "Tikuru Nkoejina," right? One
Yes.
head does
Yes.
not, you know what I mean? We
Yes.
do it together, right? When you take a broomstick, you can break one, but very hard to break the broom when you've bundled it together.
All
So
right.
I think it's all of us contributing in our small
You're
ways.
true of your grandmother. Sorry.
So it's that, right? And I think for me that has been deeply empowering. It's allowed me to wake up every day with purpose, wake up every day, and even though I don't have this big, what am I going to be when I grow up, I do know that there's value I can add today. There's work that I can do now, whether it's building out the product, whether it is empowering more people to become investors, to become supporters and coaches, whether it's giving people technology to distribute and enable the future of work so that, young Africans, young people in emerging markets are not left out of opportunity. Whatever that is, in that day, I'm doing it and I'm not waiting, right? I'm not waiting
Yes.
for somebody to tell me it's important. I'm doing it
Yes.
because it gives me purpose, And so in some ways, it's not even altruistic, really, if you think about it,
Mm,
right?
mm.
It's just a part of being in the world and
Yes.
saying that
Yes.
for this space that I'm taking up, for this oxygen that I'm taking up, what am I
Yes.
giving back in exchange?
Yes, 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 yes. I listen to you, and I just, like I said, I see me, I see me, the things, when you just talked about oxygen, I say that a lot. You're not just here to kind of breathe in oxygen. You have to make a difference. It's not about making a difference when you have the money or when you have the opportunity. It's about making a difference now, because your life matters now. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. So what can you do now? And I guess many of us around the world, we have the tendency of looking at the big things. I really want to help, and I like what you talked about, charity. You give charity, there's not much you can do, but if you enable someone to be able to look after themselves, and then each one teach one. So you do that for one person, they do, and it has a snowball effect, and it's just amazing. It's incredible. It really is. I met you at an event where founders fest, and it was full of amazing, incredible young people. I went to this event and I was thinking, why am I here? But it was amazing. I don't think there was anyone over the age of 30, if I remember. And it was, and all of you doing amazing things, in that space. And I remember there was a pitch fest or something, and oh my days, you just knocked the house down. You really did, and obviously you won.
Thank you.
You won. And yeah. And I guess if you're listening to this right now, or you're listening on the replay, or you listen to it, or you're watching on the replay, rather, you're watching on YouTube, or eventually you might watch on Apple or on Spotify, I want you to ask yourself, what can I do now? Don't look at your bank balance. Don't look at what's in your pocket. What can I do now? Write down on a piece of paper, maybe in your notebook, in your journal, what are your skills? What are your strengths and your weaknesses? Do a SWOT analysis. Forget about your weaknesses, because they always come and hit you in the face every morning. Forget about what you don't have, and what you can't do, and what exam you failed, or what you did yesterday, or whatever, what breakup you had, or whatever it is that gets us in such a funk. Think about what your strengths are and what opportunities are. Just those two things. Don't do it for me, do it for your next door neighbor, and then do something with it. Like I always like to say, you are enough. You are enough. You coming out of your comfort zone will save a life. It really will. It will save a life. And we have to wrap up, and I don't want to wrap up, but we have to wrap up. I don't like this. Is not fair. I can talk forever, and I can see you can talk forever. I can just leave you asleep, and you can just do the show. Really, I can just, well, last question, really, Christine. Thank you so much. This has really been amazing. I've learned so much from you as well. Is for those people who they have a vision, they're entrepreneurial, and they think they can't go forward, what kind of give them 3 steps or 3 things that they can do, that they can take away, actionable steps that they can do to actually either push their business or their idea forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I what I'll even say is, I won't just take this from the point of view of just entrepreneurship, right? For anyone who's looking to put something into the world, right? I think the very, very first thing is remembering your why, right? Why am I doing this? And I think reminding yourself of that, right? I think is such a great and powerful place to start. And then, in critical theory, right, people talk about positionality, right? And some people have, we talk about intersectionality, I just think about it of what is the unique place that you occupy in the world? Maybe as a woman, as a Black woman, as an African woman, whatever it is, as a migrant, as a child of immigrants, whatever it is, what is that positionality? And understand that deeply, right? What are the advantages that your positionality confers on you, right? So again, why do I want to create this thing into this world? What are the unique advantages that my positionality confers on me? Maybe I am a child of, immigrants, second generation, first generation, living in the UK. I'm at a crossroads between 2 or 3 or 4 cultures. I have access to technology, whatever it is. And really, don't just think about the disadvantages, but the advantages, the perspective that
Yes.
confers on you, right? And then the third thing is, what do I do every day for the next 30 days? Write your 30-day plan, right? Not your 5-year plan, not your 3-year plan, not your financial model. Just, what do I need to do every day for the next 30 days, right? Day 1, day 2, day 3, to get going on getting to this big vision that I have. It's a great way to get started. It's not focused on, figuring it all out. It's just giving yourself a plan for the next 30 days. And it's looking at the advantages that your positionality confers on you, and propelling yourself forward in that way, finding momentum from that.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Find out your why. What's your why? I'll just say it quickly. What's your why? Find out your position, your positioning, where you're positioned in your own section of the world, and do your 30-day plan, not your 5-year, not your 2-year. You're talking to me. I have plans everywhere. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years we're going to be alive. I have all sorts of plans, and strategic plans and strategic. Just do 30 days. 30 days. There was someone that said that it takes 30 days, 21 days to change a habit. 30 days. That's 10, 20, 30. And be consistent, be intentional, and look for an accountability partner. So don't just write the 30 days and don't talk about it. Make sure that you're serious about it. So when you write those 30 days, each day, what you're going to do each day, someone's going to knock you over the head. I keep saying knocking over the head. Why am I being so violent? I'm not a violent person. I promise I'm not, But someone's got it's the coach in me. Someone's going to sort of keep you accountable and make sure that you keep the promises that you keep to yourself.
Absolutely.
Oh my days. Thank you so much, darling. This has been absolutely brilliant. I'm so glad that you've come on the show, and I will bring you back. I'm just saying it live so you can't say no. I don't care where you are in the world, how remote you are.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And listeners, I hope you've had a lovely time. Thank you so much for spending Friday evening, if you're here in the UK or wherever you are, afternoon, or whether it's Saturday morning if you're in Sydney, wherever you are. Thank you so much. Until next time, this is the end of A Cup of Tea with me, Dr. Zee. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ooh, where are we? There we are.
Thanks for listening to A Cup of Tea with Dr. Zee, your reinvention queen. We hope you've been motivated and inspired to go out there and conquer any obstacles and issues you may face. You can find Dr. Zena on all social platforms. Until next time.